NetApp HCI customers have the options in how they want to automate their environment. They can leverage our UI as well as our VMware plugin to manage and monitor the environment, or they can do everything through Ansible, automation, PowerShell, or even driving REST API calls directly against the cluster. So what I have here is I am in one of our NetApp HCI clusters and within the element management plugin. So from here, I could go through the wizard here to create a data store, which will map it to all of the hosts that you select, or we can create an individual volume. What we're talking about here, though, is how we would do data protection. So within volumes, I could create the volume and then protect it, but instead, I want to show a very simple way that this can all be automated using Ansible. To show automation, what I'm first going to start with is showing a quick Ansible playbook that we can run against the cluster using modules that are publicly available right on Ansible's documentation. So what I have here is I have a playbook that will not only create and set up a DR environment, but will also clean it up. So what I'm doing here is I am calling a secrets file, which will have my cluster login information and credentials. And then I am assigning some static variables. So I have an account ID that I'm going to use on both the source side as well as the target. I have a volume size I will use, and then the naming convention. So I am going to have a source and a target name. Next, what this playbook's going to run through is we will create the source volume with a set specific quality of service so we can guarantee the performance of that workload. Next, we will create a snapshot schedule. So we're assuring that we have that data protection against ransomware, human error, or any corruption that may happen. So we're going to have a time interval schedule running every day on the volume that we're creating. Next, I'm creating a target volume. So create this on your DR NetApp HCI or Element OS cluster. I will then update the volume for replication and pair it. What I'm showing here, though, is there is not a lot of information that's required in order to set up replication with Element OS. It's straightforward. This was all pulled right off of Ansible's documentation, and we'll go and just combine these together to create this playbook and run it against the cluster. So now I'm going to call that playbook. So Ansible playbook, calling this, and I'm calling the tag create volume DR. So it's only going to run the commands that are for creation. So this is now started. It's creating that source volume. Next, creating the snapshot schedule, creating the target volume. So we're just going to verify that everything goes through. Creating a volume pair. So initiating that replication, and this is all okay. So we'll just go back into our NetApp HCI plugin to verify this. So I will refresh on here. And we can now see that source volume is created. Other things that I can look at is go to our data protection tab. I did not create a snapshot to start yet, but we will see this in the schedule. So we can see our insight schedule right here on a time interval with volume ID 42, and also going to volume pairs to make sure that we do have replication. And so we can see this right here that we do have it, and with asynchronous replication to the other cluster. Next, if you wanted to clean it up, it is just as easy as we did to create it. Now this one, I will just change the tag to clean up and run that. And this will then go and delete the replication, delete the target volume, and clean up the source volume as well as that schedule. As we can see here, deleting both of these volumes and cleaning it up. And one last refresh to wrap up this demo. We can see that there are no more volume pairs. And we can see here that the volume is now cleaned up and has been removed from the system.